You can vacation at all kinds of resorts, but when you've got horsepower in your vein, this is where you want to be. It's America's motorsport resort, Virginia International Raceway. It sat dormant for over a quarter of a century, resurrected in 1998, and it has become home to sports car fans, sports car teams, and the IMSA series as well. Today, the VP Racing SportsCar Challenge comes to Virginia International Raceway. We'll have rounds 9 and 10 of the season. Where are we? Well, we are in the great state of Virginia, just outside of Danville, Virginia, to be exact. And what a racetrack this is. Built back in 1955. Like I said, it's lay dormant for over 25 years until it was resurrected. What a place it is. They moved out the cows, they moved out the corn, and you've got a beautiful racetrack. Turn 1, good passing, up into the iconic oak tree turn. Turns 11 and 12, the oak tree is gone, but a sapling has been replaced with it there, and in future years, the oak tree will be back. Down the long back straightaway into turn 14, then the roller coaster down to Hog Pen. Turn 17, and you've completed a lap at Virginia International Raceway. Welcome in, folks. Brian Till along with Jeremy Shaw. And Jeremy, I mean, what a place, right? Every time we come back here, Connie Nyholm, the guys that work with her have done such a great job. Kerrigan Smith, not only is it beautiful, it's safe, it's fast, it's everything you want in a racetrack.
Fantastic place, and all the drivers who are here for the first time this weekend, which is quite a few, are absolutely loving it. A bunch of them were out in the WeatherTech series just a few minutes ago. We were speaking to them on the air for IMSA Radio, and to a person, love this place. They all the pros have done some sim work before they get here, but for many of them, for quite a few of them, the first time here, and yeah, it's a real challenge and one they thoroughly enjoy.
And if you love prototype sports cars, you love VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. 2 different classes in the field, the LMP3 class, the prototypes that will be the faster cars and out front, and then the GSX class. As you look at the starting grid there on the left side of the screen, and Jeremy, a lot of talent throughout those 2 classes, both experienced drivers and young and up-and-comer drivers. Take us through the field.
Yeah, and on the pole position in the GSX category is Luca Mars, who comes in here with the championship points lead, a pretty handy lead over Jesse Lazare in the McLaren car number 21. You can see his name listed there in the 18th position. Unfortunately, however, that Motorsports in Action McLaren Artura GT4 will not be taking the start today. They're running a car also in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. It's a different car, but horrifically for the team, both cars yesterday were crashed during the first free practice sessions. There was a kind of I don't know, it's a sort of sensor problem, or there was a rebound situation on the car that upset the car in different places, and both drivers crashed and caused a lot of damage. Bottom line is, the number 21 car will not be starting this weekend in this VP Racing Challenge events, either of them, but the car that would have been racing this has been converted over to run in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, because that is, it seems, a priority this weekend. So a horrific weekend so far for that McLaren team. It will not be taking the start here. So Luca Mars is looking good for the championship, with only 3 races to go after today in the championship. Overall, at the front of the field is Jagger Jones once again on pole position in that fast MD racing with Remstar Duquesne. It's the only Duquesne in the LMP3 field. All the other 7 cars in the category are Ligiers. Making his debut this weekend is John Hirschberger, car number 86 for Forte Racing, alongside Brian Thenis. John Hirschberger has been driving in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo for the last several years in the LB Cup category, and making his LMP3 debut this weekend and absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times the drivers step out of a GT-based car into a prototype. They love the downforce, the secure feeling that it has. Right now, what Jagger Jones is looking to do in that beautiful black and red, number 87 up front, he's looking to get a big jump. He needs to win races. He's won 5 more than any other driver so far this year, Jeremy. But if he wants to have any shot at all in this championship, he needs to keep doing that. He missed the opening 2 rounds at Daytona, well back in the points. Winning every time out is on his list. He wants to do it here at VIR, waiting for the green. It's points leader outside, Stephen Agakani. Driver's left, your screen right, and it is going to be a late green, and Jagger Jones pulls the trigger. We're racing at VIR.
Nice clean start there, and a good jump by Jagger Jones, and he has the advantage going to turn one, and so he doesn't believe he's braking too late. He's going to be able to make that corner in the lead. He does. Steve Agakani tucks into second position. Nice to see a good clean start there. Behind in the GSX cars, it's that Ford Mustang for Luca Mars, who seems to have held at the upper hand.
Back in the fourth and fifth position, the red, white, and blue number 77 of Brian Thenis, the white of number 7 of Alex Kirby, having a go of it. And you see that a lot here in starts, Jeremy, that right-hander that is turn 1 and 2, then you get to turn 3, left-hander. A lot of times there's a lot of push and shove and position changing there on the start.
Yeah, there is. Mark Brummond up into second position, though, in that Autotechnic BMW, car number 25, in second place in GSX. But nice, all the way, nice, cleanly running up through the uphill climbing S's there. And it's certainly nice to see a clean start, because oftentimes here it all goes pear-shaped in those first few corners.
What a perfect day for racing. Temperatures in the low 80s, low humidity, just a slight breeze, and if you're sitting in the shade, you're going to see some great racing today. Look on camera and you can see a yellow BMW. I saw one just a moment ago. Don't worry, that's not out on the racetrack. The great thing about VIR is there's several different configurations, and they can use the inner loop for some manufacturer entertainment rides. That's what's happening on the inside of the racetrack right now. And meanwhile, the ride going on for Jagger Jones is he's going to lead the first lap. And how impressive has that young man been this season?
Yeah, very. Unfortunately, he wasn't available for the first couple of races of the season at Daytona, but since then, he's been perfect in terms of taking the checkered flag. He's won all 6 races on the road. However, one of the 2 races last time out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, there was a wheel camber infraction. Too much camber on one of the wheels on that chicane. It was put to the back of the field, and that's unfortunately spoiled his record of actually winning and getting the trophy for all 6 races he has contested. But other than that, it's been a perfect season for Jagger Jones, and as you say, he just wants to win all the races. Interesting for him this weekend, he's also driving in the Whelen MX-5 Cup Challenge Series as well, so you could hardly hope for 2 more different cars, Brian, could you?
Yeah, you look at the horsepower and the downforce of the LMP3 machinery here in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge versus the lower horsepower momentum GT-based car of the MX-5, and yeah, 2 very different. And a lot of times drivers will say, if you're going to drive 2 cars on a weekend, make them as different as possible so you don't get braking marks confused and speed through the corners confused. But yeah, Jagger Jones is impressive, and this is an impressive battle right here. The white, blue, and red, number 77 down the back straightaway. Brian Thenis behind the wheel. He sits second in the championship, Jeremy. He has been incredibly consistent this season.
Yeah, he's done a really good job, hasn't he, Brian? He's also leading in the Bronze Cup category. Unfortunately, Miguel Villagomez from Ecuador didn't take part in the 2 races at Canada, so that kind of handed the lead back to Brian Thenis in the Bronze Cup category. But Brian, in that 4-day racing entry, has done a really, really good job. And once again, he's made a good start here and running confidently in the early stages. What a great start by Jagger Jones. I mean, he's already a second and a half clear of Stephen Agakani.
Yeah, let's move back to GS. Well, Mark Brummond in that Autotechnic BMW, the red, white, and gray BMW, really had his hands full coming down through the roller coaster. Moisey Uretsky aboard the number 44 Baby Bull Porsche just behind him was there, as was Brady Berman in the 82. So you got 3 different manufacturers right there tussling over second, third, and fourth position.
Yeah, good to see there. Moisey Uretsky did a super job yesterday in qualifying to put that Baby Bull Porsche second behind Luca Mars. He was a second and a half behind him, so quite a gap between those first 2, but a really good scrap going on here for second position in GSX, with the Aston Martin tucked in there as well. BMW, Porsche, Aston Martin. Once again, 3 very, very closely matched cars here, putting on a good show here for battle for second position.
When we think about the championship in GSX, we said Luca Mars leads it, and Jeremy, you told the story of Jesse Lazar, the problems that they had, so that's going to move him from second well down in the order. And where is Patrick Wilmot? Third in the championship, but he had problems after qualifying, and his BMW had to start well back. He's got time to move forward, but if he wants to try to close in on Luca Mars is in the wrong place on the racetrack, and so is Patrick Wilmot. He needs to get in front of that Mustang if he wants to try to close this championship down at all.
Yeah, he does, and unfortunately they made a setup change before qualifying, and obviously didn't verify that change well enough. The car sort of kind of settled a bit more than they thought it would do once it came off the setup pad, and when they went into post-qualifying technical inspection, slightly low on one corner of the car. So as a result of that, the time was disallowed, had to start from the back. But Patrick Wilmot, he's going to charge hard and see if he can get his way up towards the front. He's already up to 8th position in the car, so he's got past a couple of cars, but he's got a bit of a gap now. He's going to get past Angus Rogers in that KMW Porsche and then chase after the rest of the field.
This fight heating up. Ryan Finney now a part of it. And was that Alex Kirby off? Indeed, he's got a sign. I think that is the number 7. To wait and see just to confirm it, because I can't see a number on the side of it, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, indeed it is. He's tried to go off the side of the road and get rid of the sign and collected another one while he did it. So problem area there for Kirby. If he'll stop the car and maybe back up just a little bit, he can probably get it to come off. Now he's going to, good idea, go uphill, now roll backwards, see if you can get it to come off the nose. Just got a little wide there, coming out of 5, I believe. Jeremy gets loose. Let's see what happens. And they're at the apex.
Yeah, just got a big wobble on there, and he did a good job to keep the car under control. Unfortunately, that signboard there, the good news is it's not, shouldn't do any damage to the car, but it was a good save by Alex Kirby there, but really annoying to have that signboard stuck on the car, and nothing he can do to he has to get rid of it, otherwise that car is going to overheat very quickly.
Well, and you got to think, too, the dive planes that are on the front. You see the left side dive plane underneath the headlight, and then the front splitter. They can be knife-like, and if they have cut through that corrugated plastic that the WeatherTech billboards are made out of, they'll be stuck on those blades, so to speak, and that will create a problem. They'll have to go get him because he won't be able to get them off.
Yeah, that's right. That's annoying for him. He had Brian Thenis there running in the 4th position for Forte Racing, number 77 car, the red, white and blue car, but right behind him and trying to find a way past is Ryan Finney in that RV Motorsports with Rick Ware Racing car number 51. Identical cars, of course, both Ligiers, and right behind them too is John Hirschberg, who's made a really good debut in his cars. His first ever race. He's done some testing at the Thermal Club in Southern California in that caliber 86. His teammate to Brian Thenis, and he came here testing a few weeks ago and showed some really good speed in the testing, which he wasn't really able to duplicate yesterday in practice, but certainly made a very good start to this race. And to be running so close to Brian Thenis as Ryan Finney dives to the inside. Okay.
I was going to say, we'll see if the officials take a look at that, Jeremy. There is a penalty for the number 5 of Angus Rogers for a start violation. That'll be a drive-through penalty there. It'll be interesting to see. Full course caution is now out, and that is going to be for the 7. So I think they're going to have to go get him and get those signboards off. But it'll be interesting to see what the officials say about this. Ryan Finney, little right front lockup, dives underneath Thenis, and I don't think Brian sees Ryan Finney down to the inside, turns back down on him. They look like they're pretty much alongside before the contact happens. Take a look.
Yeah, it was certainly it was a bold move. It's sort of a move you'd expect from desperate young open wheel drivers, which Ryan Finney kind of still is, I guess. I mean, he made the corner, I suppose, but boy, that was a move that I'm sure Brian Thenis wasn't expecting, even though Brian has been racing in this sport for a long time. Yeah, he'll feel a little bit aggrieved, but by the same token, there's no doubt that Ryan Finney was right there at the turning point. So it was a fair pass. It was bold and certainly aggressive, but I think it was fair.
Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you from Virginia International Raceway, round 9 of VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. And for Alex Kirby, a little off there. The problem was the signage that he collected along the way. The car should be okay. They'll get that car back out, and now he's going to take a cone with him, but he's back on the racetrack. We just had some action up in Oak Tree. Ryan Finney aboard the number 51 LMP3 entry, and the number 77 of Brian Thenis got together. We see that move up there at the top, Jeremy, quite often, a lot of times later in the race, but you call it a bold move. I think any move up there is bold, don't you think?
Well, yeah, true, because it's a double apex corner up there, and we can see that he tried to make a move into the first part of that double apex right-hander. Wasn't quite close. I've actually locked up the brakes a little bit, but when he saw Brian Thenis running a little bit wide between those two right-handers, he clearly got back on the throttle and just nudged himself alongside Brian Thenis. At that point, there's no way Brian can turn into that corner without making a contact. So another look at it. This is farther back down the road. This is Alex Kirby running off the road collecting that sign.
And you can see, Jeremy, indeed it was the problem of those dive planes and the front splitter going through that corrugated plastic. Yeah. It was stuck on the car, and it didn't matter if Alex Kirby backed up or not. That signage was not going to come off. And you know, back to Ryan Finney, he's really kind of using this year in VP Racing and in the prototype to get back in racing form. He hadn't been doing a lot of racing over the last year or so, and he said, I have my program sorted for the next several seasons, and you're going to see me do some stuff that I really can't divulge it right now, but you're going to see more of me, which is a good thing. Interestingly enough, he has raced really well, Jeremy. He's finished really well. He's got, I believe, 5 fourth-place finishes and 1 fifth-place finish. He just hasn't been qualifying all that well, but the car really seems to come alive in the race. Take a look again, a little right front lockup. Then he does get up there beside Thenis. The question is going to be, do the officials think that Brian Thenis had enough racing room at the exit, or did Ryan Finney move him off the racetrack? We'll have to find out. The incident is indeed under review. It
is under review. I mean, I don't think Brian Finney did anything wrong. I mean, it was certainly, I mean, he was at the point where Brian Thenis had to turn into the corner. Ryan Finney was already there, and I don't think it was the case that Ryan Finney wouldn't have made the next right-hander. I think he would have done, in which case, unfortunately, it's Brian Thenis really got himself to blame for leaving that gap on the inside, is what it boils down to. But here we are, back to green already, and Jagger Jones is going to try and do what he did last time, which made a lightning start and pull out a bit of a gap early on from Stephen Agakani. But Stephen, I think, is going to try and make sure that does not happen. He was a little bit quicker than Jagger once we got the race underway from the original start. We'll see now whether he can stay with Jagger Jones at the front of the field.
Green flag flies once again from VIR, and Jagger Jones on the point, but on the original restart, I got to believe that Jagger Jones in that Duquesne is just a little bit better on the original start on colder tires, but with the warmer tires, Stephen Agakani certainly has the pace. Jeremy Shaw, you mentioned it just a minute ago. Once we got underway, Agakani was turning the faster lap time, so this very short yellow could help. It's brought the field back together, and that could be good news for Agakani.
Yeah, that's what he hopes, certainly. Meanwhile, in GSX, Luca Mars once again making himself scarce at the front of the field in that number 59 core Motorsports Ford Mustang GT4. There he is, way out in front already. He's really in a class of his own this weekend, particularly without either the McLaren of Jesse Lazar to push him, or unfortunately also missing this weekend is the Thayes competition Mercedes that scored such an impressive victory with Josh Green at the wheel last time out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, taking advantage of the rain there. But unfortunately that team also not here this weekend, so that's going to pretty much hand everything on a plate to Luca Mars.
Well, I'll tell you this though, I'm impressed right now with Mark Brumman aboard the number 25. You look at his results this year, he doesn't even have a top 5 finish. And Jeremy, you just mentioned it, there are obviously a couple of competitors higher in the championship that with more experience than Mark Brumman, and perhaps even a little bit younger and more willing to push a little bit harder. But for Brumman, he is having an exemplary run here today at VIR. Again, there are a couple of cars missing, but not 4 or 5, 6 cars missing that we normally see. So for Mark Brumman, this is a good weekend so far.
It certainly is, and he won the Bronze Cup category in the opening race of the season at Daytona, but he did not make the trip north of the border, so stands quite a long way down in the championship, down in 9th position in the championship overall. But he's still 4th in Bronze Cup, but this is a really good one. I mean, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. This is kind of his home track really these days, Mark Brumman. And he's driven a lot of different cars over the years. He's not certainly a household name by any means, but he gets along really, he loves this car. The team, WeatherTech Racing, puts a very good car underneath him, and he made a great start. He's trying to hold on now ahead of the car that qualified on the outside of the front row in GSX, and that would be Moise Uretsky in that very distinctive multicolored Porsche. Brady Berman also doing a nice job. This is his home race. He's from Virginia Beach, so this is Virginia, and he's making his comeback. He's had some various other commitments that kept him out of the cockpit for much of the summer, but Brady Berman in that Van der Steur Racing blue and white Aston Martin, running 3rd in that train, and holding on to that battle for 2nd position. Very much holding on and very much in contention.
Moise Uretsky aboard the Baby Bull Porsche, that yellow, turquoise, and pink Porsche, really closing up on Brumman and closing up on the back of Uretsky. The 82 of Brady Berman, he's right there in his Aston Martin, and so is Frank Depew. This is the battle for 2nd. That's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the racetrack in GSX. And they're all right there together. It seems to me, Jeremy, that either the Porsche has a little more top speed, or perhaps Uretsky's getting off Oak Tree a little bit better, because down at the end of that long back straightaway, he is all over the rear wing of the BMW in front of him, Mark Brumman, and that really allowed Brady Berman to close in there as well.
Yeah, it's a big long train of cars here, isn't it? It's really fun, and that split decision BMW, the GD Garage Doors BMW Caliber 88 that started at the back after that fading post-qualifying technical inspection. He's right with that group now in the, what is he, sixth position in the class, so it's been a good comeback for Patrick Wilmot. That yellow certainly helped him.
Well, and they kind of give and they take away depending on where you are on the racetrack, the full course cautions, that is, and for Patrick Wilmot, that really helped him out back up front. Really kind of helped Stephen Agakani out a little bit. It closed him back up to Jagger Jones. He's just about 1.5 seconds off of the number 87 of Jones right now, but that kind of gives him a little hope there in the end that he can get back and get another victory. What really Stephen Agakani needs to do, though, Jeremy, is exactly what he's doing right now. Winning races is great. Winning championships, in my mind, is better, and I think it's better on a young driver's resume. And for Stephen Agakani, he controls this championship right now. It doesn't really matter if Jagger Jones win. He controls it. He would close a little bit in the points, but if Stephen Agakani can leave this weekend with, I believe it's a 700-point margin over Jagger Jones, the championship is his.
Indeed so, and that's certainly his goal this weekend for Agakani, is just to, he'd like to win, obviously, but if he doesn't, second place is just fine in terms of the championship. As you say, big picture, getting a championship under your belt is exactly what he wants as a still young driver. I mean, he seems to have been around forever, doesn't he, Stephen Agakani? He started off in Lamborghinis at the age of, well, just 16. He was actually too young to race in the opening race of the championship, and he's still just 21 years of age. So, he's definitely a talent on the way up in this sport, as is Jagger Jones, who's just 1 year his senior at age 22.
Mark Brumman holding on to the point in GSX. I say holding on to the point in the battle for 2nd. Luca Mars has checked out, but this group still having quite the go. Moise Uretsky aboard the number 44 Porsche, coming through turns 3, 4, and 5 right there, and so is Brady Berman aboard that Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin. So 3 different manufacturers right there together in that battle for 2nd. Patrick Wilmot, the 4th car in that line, the light blue, silver, and red BMW, is on a charge forward. We talked about his qualifying problems in tech, and he is trying to get back up to the front.
He is, and is doing a really, really good job of it too. He's made his way past Frank Depew last time around. He's going to be closing in on Brady Berman's Aston Martin. At least that's his plan. And the goal coming into this weekend for that team is to get on the podium. And he's only a couple of places shy of that right now. So it's been a very, very good comeback drive for Patrick Wilmot.
Think about the pressure that Brumman is under, and he has not faltered at all. Neither has Jagger Jones. Talk about Stephen Agakani. The 16-year-old Stephen Agakani that I first saw was very fast in a race car, Jeremy, but as you might expect from a 16-year-old, I don't think he had the maturity to manage a championship as he has managed this one so far in 2024. And for Jagger Jones, he's had the pressure of coming in late. He's been fast, he's been winning races, and he just lays them down. You know, he goes out there and it's all business for him, gets the job done. You're looking at two young drivers that I think have a big, big future in the sport, whether they want to be in sports car racing, even potentially open wheel racing.
Yeah, for Jagger Jones, certainly he would love to be an open wheel sports car driver. Steve Agakani, his goal really is Le Mans and sports cars, but Jagger, he will drive anything, anywhere, anytime. I mean, he's driven just about everything. Got a good amount of it. Whoops, there's a bit of a contact between the Porsche of Moise Uretsky and the BMW Mark Brumman, who's he's not doing anything ultra defensive.
Nope.
It's a really good, clean racing, and it's a 6, 7, 8 car train of GSX cars. That's really fun to see.
Mark Brumman holding on, and now prototypes beginning to come through. That's Alex Kirby in the white and silver number 7 as they get into the climbing S's. He's got some damage to the right front dive plane from contact with that signboard earlier, but he needs to be a little bit patient here because he's got this battle going on in front of him. You don't want to get in there and get mixed up and become a part of somebody else's problem. Now alongside Patrick Wilmot. Wilmot sees him, but he doesn't want to leave the opening for Depew, and that's exactly what Frank Depew does. He slides through, uses Alex Kirby as a pig.
Yeah, Alex Kirby, of course, he's already a lap down, having had that problem with the signboard that caused that brief full course caution. So he's a long way behind the other LMP2 cars. Other P3 cars. He's just kind of driving his own race right now, and he's significantly faster, of course, than the GSXs, and that has certainly broken up that battle a fair bit. But look at this, the battle is really heating up here between Brian Thienes and Jordan Menson. He's another guy who is new to this sport, and they are battling away there for 6 and 7 positions in LMP3.
Yeah, where did the 82 go? Brady Berman, he was 4th, just behind the 44. I think he may have gone off track at the exit of Oak Tree. That's allowed Frank Depew to get by him as well, at least as they were coming to the line. Yeah, Depew now the 3rd car in the shot right there. And for Brady Berman, he's going the wrong way. Patrick Wilmot now inside of him through 1 and 2.
Yeah, was there something to happen between those two? Well, was there? I mean, Patrick Wilmot, he'd already got past Frank Depew, hadn't he? So how was he able to redress that balance?
Yeah, take a look at this. This is that action that we saw up in Oak Tree. Here comes Alex Kirby. He gets through, and you see Berman just slides wide, gets off the racetrack, bounds back on. That's going to allow Depew to get by in the kind of camo Aston Martin. But the other thing that's interesting, he just doesn't seem to have the speed after that, Jeremy.
Who?
Talking to Berman.
Berman, yeah, no, that's right. He certainly was a bit spooked, I think, by that, and that was a very opportunistic move there by Frank Depew there, who's another Virginia resident, of course, so a home track also for Frank, and this is the best drive I've seen Frank do for a long, long time, possibly the best ever, actually. That was a great pass at Oak Tree last time around. He took advantage of the LMP3 car kind of slowing up his rivals there and made not 1 pass but 2, and Frank Depew is charging hard here in that Rebel Rock Aston Martin.
It's so interesting. Frank Depew, a lot of experience and longtime co-driver with Robin Liddell and Michelin Pilot Challenge, almost won the championship last year. In fact, you don't want to mention that to him here at VIR because this is kind of where the downfall started. They had a great finish, but then there was some retribution in the final race of the year at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. So Frank Depew still smarting from that one, but that education that he's gotten with Robin Liddell, and I think the experience that he's gotten behind the wheel, I agree with you, one of the headier drives I've seen out of him. And now Uretsky back on the 25, trying to get by Brumman again. That Porsche, either a better drive off the corners onto the long straightaway or just has a little bit longer leg.
Yeah, and Mark Brumman there, he certainly had to position his car on the inside there to make sure there was no ray past for that Porsche. Driving a really nice race at the moment is that number 25 car, Mark Brumman.
Now, Jordan Minzen aboard the 18 after that problem for Brian Thenis where he got shuffled back a little bit. Now he's dropped back into the hands of Minzen, and it's really interesting because Thenis lost several positions after being passed by Finney when he went off the racetrack, and almost like Brady Berman, doesn't seem to have the speed afterwards. That's a pretty rough ride back there. So don't know if it has kind of misaligned the suspension a little bit, but certainly doesn't have the pace that he had early on. And for the rookie in the series, Minzen, you know, met him at Mid-Ohio in his first race, and he had big, big dreams. And I think you and I both said the same thing to him. Just calm down and realize that you're in a deeper pool than you've been before. It's great to have good goals and strong goals, but this is a little different ball game, and it didn't take him long to figure that out. Always a smile on his face, but man, there's no one more serious out there when it comes to trying to get performance out of those cars than Jordan Minzen aboard the 18.
Yeah, he's been working with Oliver Askew as his driver coach for the last few months as Jordan, fellow resident of Southern Florida. And that certainly benefited him a lot. It's got a really good head on his shoulders. Plus, that whole team at Performance Tech Motorsports is family-oriented. They're there to have fun, but also take it seriously at the same time. And Jordan Minzen, to be holding on to Brian Thenis, who's been around the sport a long, long time, is a very, very impressive run for somebody in their first season of racing.
VP Racing SportsCar Challenge from Virginia International Raceway. Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you, and the battle for second in GSX continues to rage. Moisey Uretsky wants to get by the 25 BMW in front, and the leaders, the overall leaders, are about to be a part of it. Frank Depew gets in to the side of Jagger Jones. Depew goes around, Brady Berman goes around. Oof. And I don't know if Frank Depew kind of came down on the prototype or the prototype of Jagger Jones got in the side. But anyway, you look at it, Jagger Jones trying to work his way through. And again, Agakani is now there as they go around and split the 25 BMW of Mark Brumman. Brumman had to be thinking, man, Jeremy, I'm as little as I can be. Please leave me alone.
Yeah, man, that was pretty scary there for Mark Brumman.
Wow.
He did a good job, but Agakani, I mean, he's really put the pressure on there. When they came up to lap that train of cars there, he put himself in a position to try and make a pass, and Jagger Jones had to pull all the tricks out of his hat to keep that lead. A couple of laps ago, by the way, Jagger Jones set a new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 43.5, but even with that, he didn't pull away from Agakani. These two very, very closely matched at the front of the field.
Yeah, you talk about speed, new record set in qualifying in both LMP3 and in GSX this weekend. I mean, this is how it gets exciting down. No, Jagger Jones had cleared the 72. I don't know if he just takes some air off the front, or perhaps Frank Depew needs to lift because he thinks he's going to hit the back of the prototype, but that unsettles the rear of the car. Around it goes, and then chaos ensued.
Yeah, it did. Brady Berman had to take evasive action there, got himself out of sync by the time he got down to turn 5. So that was unfortunate for him. He wasn't sure which way that spinning Aston Martin was going to go, so he had to go to the right to avoid it. And that's when Brady Berman spun off there. But I don't think he didn't hit anything, I don't think, so able to continue. But yeah, cars, for a moment there, cars running all different directions, and most of them not the correct ones.
I looked at it the second time, Jeremy, and I think what happens as the prototype crosses in front of the Aston Martin, I think Frank Depew gets a lot of understeer and starts to add additional steering to keep the car on the racetrack. And then he gets that grip up front, and all of a sudden the grip's up front and it's not in the back, and around it goes kind of thing. And that's the challenge I was going to say a moment ago of multi-class racing. It's why young drivers like Stephen Agakani, Jagger Jones, they want to come run here, and then the younger drivers back in the GSX category as well, a Patrick Wilmot who has sights set on WeatherTech. You want to come and learn your trade where you're not sharing a seat with someone else, where you can run your 45-minute stint and every practice session, the qualifying session yourself, maximum seat time, and get the experience in cars that you'll run in Michelin Pilot Challenge, or if you want to move up into the WeatherTech series, this is where you learn about multi-class racing.
It is. It's a tremendous learning tool for drivers, and there's so many. I mean, motor racing is all about experience. To go faster, you need more experience, and getting experience in different cars and in different environments is what builds the knowledge base and enables you to find more speed. And this championship is a really good example of it. But for for Mark Brumman there, he did exactly what he should do. Just keep his line and let the prototypes sort themselves out, which they sort of kind of did. But boy, that was a hairy moment there. If he was watching his, well, I'm sure he was watching his mirrors, and he did a super job, did Mark Brumman there, of just maintaining the middle of the racetrack. It's not particularly wide down at that part of the racetrack, but there was room for the EP3 cars to go either side of him with no harm, no foul at all.
It's not particularly wide on a tape measure if you measure it, but when you're in a car at 140 miles an hour, it's certainly not wide. What I think I just saw right there, Jeremy, as Jagger Jones, Stephen Agakani flash up through the climbing S's. Jagger Jones in a hurry to get by those GSX cars, and I saw Stephen Agakani make a very non-desperate decision and say, I'm fine right here, and went ahead and said, I'm not going to clear Luca Mars, the leader in the 59 Mustang. He said, I'm okay. Second place is okay. The championship is fine. I said this earlier, 16-year-old Stephen Agakani didn't have that mindset. 21-year-old Stephen Agakani does. He is learning how to not only win races and prototypes, Jeremy, but he may be well on his way to learning how to win a championship.
Yeah, very much so, and again, that all comes with experience. And just look at this GSX battle now, looking up into second or third position in the class. That's Patrick Wilmot in that split decision BMW. Coming straight there, being passed by 2 or 3 prototype cars, but he's got himself ahead now of the number 44 of Moise Uretsky, and he's going to try and chase after Mark Brumman, who's running in second position.
Alex Kirby's day is done. He pulls off. He had the problems early. Don't know if something is damaged with the car. Perhaps it overheated as it sat there, but Kirby off the racetrack now as the battle continues here. This is going to be interesting because you see Brian Thenis, he should have a heck of a run if he timed this right on Hirschberg in the 86. And Jonathan Hirschberg, top 5 finish here in a debut is impressive if he can hold on to it. But Thenis with more experience down the inside gets it done. The 18 of Minzen tries to come with him. These 3 drivers, though, as they head into turn 3, Thenis on his way back up front. But tell you what, Jonathan Hirschberg in the 86 and Jordan Minzen both having good runs.
Yeah, good buddies those two, Brian Thenis and John Hirschberg. As Jordan Minzen poked to the inside there at turn 4, just not quite close enough to make that pass. And again, all part of the learning curve, Jordan. He'll be annoyed with himself, but he's going to be able to get that car back on the road. At least it's not wet, so he's able to get some traction to get back on the road, but it cost him a lot of ground.
I'll apologize to Jordan because that was obviously the commentator's curse, because as soon as I said it, the problem happened. See, he looks down the inside, and think about these drivers, right? I mean, Jordan doesn't have a lot of experience in type. Jonathan Hirschberg certainly doesn't. The visibility out of this car is probably different than what he has. I think the move might have been a little bit late, but for 2 guys that don't have a lot of time in type, you get into a tight situation like that. And Jordan a little bit wider on the approach, so perhaps he wasn't even in the mirror for Jonathan Hirschberg. So any way you look at it, the contact happens, around they goes, and the 18 continues.
Yeah, at least there was nothing too nasty there, certainly, and I think Jordan just tried to bite off a bit more than he could chew there. I think it was an optimistic move, but certainly John Hirschberg, he's been struggling the last couple of laps. He'd lost quite a bit of pace. He was running pretty much the same pace as Ryan Finney. He fell back a little bit, but not too much. In the last couple of laps, he'd fallen back into the grips of both Brian Thenis and Jordan Minzen. So certainly he was fading, and Jordan Minzen was moving forward in terms of his pace. So Jordan Minzen saw an opportunity there, went for it, and then I think at the last minute realised, this is going to be a bit dodgy. So kind of tightened his line a little bit, and that effectively cause the back end to come around, and then there's a spin that loses them a lot of time. But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and there wasn't any hard contact between those two, so both able to continue.
VP Racing SportsCar Challenge from VIR, Virginia International Raceway. Just over 10 minutes of the 45-minute sprint race yet to go. And I watch the cars on the racetrack right now, Jeremy, and what I see is Jagger Jones doing everything that he needs to do, everything that he can do. And it would be really easy to kind of back off a couple of places here and there when the going gets tough, like when we saw him working through traffic as they headed to the S's, but that's not in his DNA, right? I mean, the chances of winning this championship are a long shot, to say the least, after the technical infraction took the win away at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But Jagger Jones, it's almost like he doesn't know that, right? And I still watch this car on the racetrack, see that little bit of near lockup on the front as he's braking heavily into these corners. He is laying it all on the line, every corner, every lap.
Yeah, last time around for Jagger Jones, a 1 minute 44.0, so about a half a second away from his fastest lap of the race. And Aga Khani, not quite able to stay with him at this stage. He's lost a couple of seconds now of track time. Good consistent laps here by the race leader, Jagger Jones. And Stephen Aga Khani, he'll want to be a bit closer than that. He won't want Jagger Jones to get away. He wants to keep the pressure on. With 9 minutes remaining, I don't think they're probably going to catch the GSX cars again, or are they? Yeah, maybe they will. So if there is more traffic for the race leader, Aga Khani wants to be in a position to be able to pounce if the situation arises.
Absolutely. You saw cars just up in front. I believe that is Brady Berman, who sits in front of Jagger Jones as they were headed down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Luca Mars, 32, almost 33 seconds in hand. And really what VP Racing has done for that young man is certainly put him on the scene, but he's well established, well known in Michelin Pilot Challenge. The other thing that they've been able to do with VP Racing SportsCar Challenge this year is help develop that Ford Mustang GT4, Jeremy.
Yeah, very much so. It's that extra track time has been beneficial for the team, certainly for Luca as a young, another very young driver. He's another guy who started racing only a couple of years ago, and again was too young to take part in the first race of the season. But he's a young man who's really developed nicely. He's racing also, of course, in the Michelin Pilot Challenge in a similar car for the Core Motorsports team with Bob McHaley, and they've had some good strong runs. The podium finish last time out, so he's a young man, another young man with a big future ahead of him.
Brian Thenis flashes by aboard his number 77 Ligier LMP3 machine at Virginia International Raceway, down to turn one, past the leader in GSX, that's Luca Mars, not only with the race lead, but the championship lead. And we talk about championships in both classes, Jeremy, and the young guns that are up front. For Stephen Aga Khani, second place is good enough, but I would think for him, he's wanting to stay close to Jagger Jones just to say, you know what, I can match his pace, guys, but I'm just being smart. You don't want to just let him go and build a big lead, right? So, Stephen Aga Khani going, I want everybody to understand exactly what I'm doing here. I'm fast, I'm staying with him, but I'm smart as well. For Luca Mars, he's been able to pull away from Mark Brumman, and you talk about the experience there, and Luca Mars, so much experience in that Mustang, both in Michelin Pilot Challenge and here in VP Racing. He's been able to pull off that big lead, and Mark Brumman has had his hands full all race long. First with Uretsky, and then Brady Berman was in there, and then a little bit of excitement up in Oak Tree, and yeah, he's had his hands full, and Patrick Wilmot's trying to get the best of him now aboard the 88.
Yeah, so the battles all the way up and down the field here. It's really fun to watch, isn't it? And again, I'm impressed by the consistency that's been shown here. Another good lap there for for Jagger Jones, a 1 minute 43.6. And that's only a tenth of a second away from his fastest lap in this race, having been out on track there for well over half an hour. So that's really interesting. I mean, tyre degradation is always a factor here at VIR, but it doesn't seem to be slowing these guys down at all. And similarly, for Luca Mars, this is a great run for the 18-year-old here to be leading convincingly in GSX, but also gaining a lot of technical knowledge for the Pilot Challenge race, which is coming up just in a little while this afternoon.
Well, it is not over until it's over. Closing down on 5 minutes to go from Virginia International Raceway and VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, but the leader, Jagger Jones, aboard his number 87 Duquesne LMP3 machine, having to work now through GSX traffic. It can work for you or it can work against you. We saw Stephen Agakani use it to his advantage a little bit earlier and get right back up on the rear wing of Jagger Jones, but this time Agakani may have been held up a little bit through the roller coaster.
Yeah, as they're working their way through the cars a little bit farther down the order in the GSX category, so traffic is going to come into play for these leaders, and Agakani quite a bit closer that time around. He closed about half a second on that on the race leader Jagger Jones. Meanwhile, for second position in GSX, here the battle is on now. It's still Mark Brumman that holds lead in that Autotechnic BMW, but right behind him now is a similar car for Split Decision Motorsports, Patrick Wilmot, in that number 88 car, who started at the back of the field. A really good run for the blue BMW.
Yeah, you think about it, you said earlier Patrick Wilmot wanted a podium. He's there. He probably wants the second step now that he can see it right in front of him. He can smell the exhaust out of Mark Brumman's number 25 BMW just in front. And they're going to have to deal with prototype traffic, because I believe Jagger Jones is going to get them before this race is over with. That could affect, I believe, the GSX race much more so than the race in P3.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. As you say, we're into just 3.5 minutes remaining in this race. Here's a battle of two BMWs coming over the roller coaster here into turn 14, and the overall leaders coming up behind them. But Jagger Jones has done a really good job of working his way through, and has actually extended his lead quite substantially now over Stephen Agakani in second position in car number 6.
Yeah, Stephen's a smart young man, and he knows not to risk that car and this championship by trying to get past GSX traffic that really doesn't matter to him. So again, he wants to be close to show that he can, but he wants the points because he wants to show that he can win the championship. Now Wilmot on the outside of Brumman, looks to the outside. Will he try the over and under through 1 and 2? Looks back to the inside of 2. Nothing doing there. Split decision Motorsport BMW against the BMW out of Autotechnic, and looks to the inside again. No.
Good racing between these two. Nice clean racing. There's another prototype coming up behind, and of course there's Stephen Agakani. He's going to have to get past me going through the S's, which is not an easy thing to do.
This is where Agakani should have the momentum and the run to be able to clear both of these BMWs before they get to turn 6. And if it checks up Brumman just a little bit, Wilmot's there. Goodness, that was close.
That was close, and Mark Brumman timed that absolutely perfectly. I think he just breathed the throttle a little bit going into that climbing S's there, and it cost him a bit of momentum, but not enough to lose that position to Patrick Wilmot. But when we get up to Oak Tree, he's going to have a look to the inside, I am sure.
I would think so. So that battle raging there for Jagger Jones down the back straightaway towards turn 14 one more time. He should see the white flag, I would think, at the line this time. Agakani's dropped back a little bit because of the traffic, but for Mark Brumman and Patrick Wilmot, this race is far from over for that second place position on the podium in GSX.
Yeah, with a white flag this time around then for Jagger Jones, and he's extended that lead hugely now over Stephen Agakani, who can barely see the race leader as he comes up to take that white flag.
White is out, so one more lap, final lap for Jagger Jones. And again, not slowing down at all, Jeremy, right there on the edge of the road at turn in for turn one. This young man knows one thing, and that is go fast. He's trying to do that here right now. 6 races so far, 6 wins, one of them taken away with a post-race technical infraction. Nothing to do with his part in the equation, and now up front again. Look at this, though.
This is a battle to watch, isn't it, for second position? Those 2 BMWs going at it. Mark Brumman has held that position all the way through this race. He's had a number of different challenges, and right now it's the similar BMW of Patrick Wilmot, but he's driving a good, sensible line. He's not getting too defensive. He's focusing forward. That's what you need to do in that position. Don't worry too much about what the guy behind is doing. Just optimize your own lap time.
Patrick Wilmot running out of time, though. Luca Mars out in front of that duo that's battling for second. 44 seconds in hand the last time by the line. And so he needs to just finish one more lap. It has been problem-free, but it is never over until it's over. So you don't count your blessings, that's for sure, until you see that checkered flag and you actually cross the line underneath it. Jagger Jones, though, continuing to impress. It has been a season in 2025 where he picked up where he left off. He missed the first 2 rounds, but then was perfect on the racetrack. Only a technical infraction is the only mark on the record, but it will be another victory for Jagger Jones. He wins round 1 at VIR. We still have another race tomorrow, and he is closing down on Stephen Agakani in the championship, and he is going to press him all the way to the final round at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. The battle for second in GSX is right here. Mark Brumman has it in the 25. Patrick Wilmot wants it in the light blue BMW behind, doesn't get it. Drive of the race goes to Mark Brumman, his best performance by far all season long, and that Auto Technica crew should be celebrating. Stellar drive by Mark Brumman. Patrick Wilmot from the back to third. He gets the podium position that he was looking for, but really, really good stuff.
Yeah, really excellent race there. Luca Mars in a class of his own here. He's going to be, well, he's going to complete one more lap today because he was not lapped for a second time by the overall LMP3 leaders. We saw that second place battle, by the way, just overtaken at the line by the number 23 Escuderia Abro Ligier of Miguel Villagomez from Ecuador, who took third position and the Bronze Cup category in LMP3. But Luca Mars now just a couple of corners to go to get yet another victory for this Core Motorsports Mustang.
Luca Mars on to the front straightaway one final time, looking for the 4th win of the season for Ford Mustang, for Core Motorsport. He will get it. Checkered flag waves. Luca Mars to victory lane again.
Yeah, well done to Luca Mars here. That is the 4th win of the season for that Core Ford Mustang, and will extend his already extensive championship lead.
You look at the final lap for Mark Brumman and Patrick Wilmot, and they had some prototype traffic to deal with for sure, but it was considerably slower than Luca Mars, and you kind of feel like, were they saying, hey, maybe let's slow down a little bit so we don't have to do another lap, and Luca will, kind of thing, or not? But anyway, you look at it, he was just so far out in front, Jeremy. I think he was destined to have to complete that lap because the overall leader, Jagger Jones, just hadn't gotten to him for another time.
No, that's right. I mean, he was more than half a minute clear was Luca Mars of the other contenders in this category. But you know, I mean, he's a youngster with a big future ahead of him, as are several drivers in this field. And you know, the other guys behind him, Mark Brumman, certainly, you know, he wouldn't claim to be anything more than a gentleman driver. He's a guy who he doesn't do this for a living. Luca Mars wants to do this for a living, and that's the difference, I think. You know, Luca is significantly faster, but that was a very accomplished drive by him. Good consistent running, and that'll help his team going into the Pilot Challenge race coming up very shortly.
Yeah, you look at it for Mark Brumman, like I said, the drive of his career, certainly of his season. I think he's 7 positions higher than he's finished all season long. So really good run there. There's a look at the unofficial results. Jagger Jones, again, perfect on the racetrack. That technical infraction, the only spot on the record. since he joined the season in round number 3 at St. Petersburg. And for Stephen Agakani, continues to manage the championship. Miguel Villagomez, welcome back. He was not at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It was a great performance here. And then the rest of the GSX field that battled so hard. We saw good drives from Uretsky. Sean Quinlan comes away with a good finish. Angus Rogers with his problem early on, and a penalty early on, but some action there for sure for Brady Berman and Frank Depew.
Yeah, good comeback there for Angus Rogers after that early penalty. And Sean Quinlan, that's a really good result for him. Comes home with a top 5 finish in that Stephen Cameron Racing Ford Mustang. That team switched cars during this season. Still getting to grips with that Ford. That's his best run to date.
VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. The season winding down. We've got one more round tomorrow. If you love today's action, make sure you're in the same spot tomorrow, whether it's in front of your television, your computer screen, or sitting in a chair in the shade here at Virginia International Raceway. 3 to go. 1 more tomorrow, 2 from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta to round out the season. I'm Brian Till for Jeremy Shaw. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow for more VP Racing SportsCar Challenge.